Everyone, close your eyes. You're driving through a state you've never been before, and everything you see is grass beyond grass, the wind rippling through it like waves on the ocean. Now you're back in Michigan, where everything is corn. You can open your eyes now. You could probably see how this really doesn't capture my interest. But as I turned a corner, I saw something that did, the Rocky Mountains. Today, I will be informing you on the wonderful things to see in Yellowstone. From pedestrian buffalo to picture-perfect elk, from Old Faithful and mud to colorful pools of water. There is so much to see in Yellowstone. From animals to nature, Yellowstone has opened my eyes to the beauty of nature. I will now talk about the animals that changed my view on how animals should act. Buffalo are everywhere, especially in Yellowstone. They're from fields to walkways and all the way to right like smack dab next to buildings. For my first up-close encounter with one, there's one particular buffalo that comes to my mind, a one that knew the rules to the road. There's one that was following the yellow line perfectly, and when I finally noticed that it was right there, it was 2 feet from the glass. Not only are buffalo kind of strange, but elk. But it wasn't the elk that really caught my attention. It was what was happening around the elk. Not within 10 feet of this one elk was there a person taking a selfie with this elk. And I immediately thought, dang, that's dangerous, especially since this elk has a massive rack. Now that I've talked about animals, I will talk about Yellowstone's nature. Old Faithful is probably the most iconic thing about Yellowstone. But when you think of geysers, you might think of Earth's sprinkler system. But Yellowstone is more of a water gun. It just jets water out. It can shoot up to, I think, about 100 feet of water, straight up into the air. And something that you might find interesting are the mud pits there at Yellowstone. At first, you might walk up to them and you say, oh, that's a cool thing of mud. But as you really get closer and start looking at it, it's actually bubbling and kind of boiling and splattering everywhere, which I just thought was really interesting since nature really doesn't do that a whole lot. And the most visual thing that I thought was appealing were the colorful pools of boiling water. There was one in particular that's just massive. It's probably 3 football fields combined. And there's a boardwalk that goes right across from it. And as you walk across, you can just kind of feel the heat emanating off the top of the surface. Everything in Yellowstone is a perfect display of how nature is absolutely stunning. From the buffalo to elk and mud to colors, Yellowstone is truly unique and eye-catching. As I looked at those Rocky Mountains, I stopped looking for what was boring in nature and instead focused on what made nature interesting.